Hello, we care about you hotline. Uh-huh. Well, hi. How's it going, Mrs. Parker? Uh-huh. What's your sad story today? Do you have something that's concerning you? Uh-huh. Your husband doesn't pay attention to you like he used to? How long have you been married, Mrs. Parker? 12 years? Uh-huh. And does your husband work? Uh-huh. When he comes home from work, Mrs. Parker, how do you greet him? Do you greet him at the front door and a romantic get up, maybe a negligee, or how do you greet him, Mrs. Parker? In a sweatsuit? Uh-huh. Sweatpants? Uh-huh. Well, if that's all you had on, is sweatpants, it'd be okay. But you have the t-shirt, the sweatshirt on too. Uh-huh. And what kind of meals do you have, Mrs. Parker? Do you have, do you spend a couple hours before he comes home to put on a nice, chicken dinner for him with mashed potatoes and gravy and biscuits and so forth? Uh-huh. Apple pie. Uh-huh. A couple of TV dinners. Uh-huh. Banquet kind? Uh-huh. Well, we know you need to save money in this day and age, Mrs. Parker. I understand that. How many days a week do you have TV dinners? About 4, huh? Uh-huh. What do you have, a nice meal on Sunday? Kind of a Sunday dinner? You have a meat pie on Sundays, uh-huh. Banquet, uh-huh. What about the romantic department, Mrs. Parker? Do you let your husband know that he's appreciated as a man at night? Usually you're too tired and you just go to sleep, uh-huh. Uh-huh. What does he do, Mrs. Parker, when you're too tired and you just go to sleep? Uh-huh. Well, Mrs. Parker, it sounds like that you're not a very loving and caring woman, I mean, you sound great on the phone, but why don't you greet your husband in, maybe, I don't know, a negligee, Maybe bra and panties, You're too fat? Uh-huh. Well, why don't you lose some weight then? Uh-huh. Get on the old treadmill, and run around the block a few times and lose that weight. You're too tired. Uh-huh. Well, why don't you make him a nice meal, I mean, I guess a man can do without sex and stuff if if you satisfy his stomach. You don't have the time to cook? Uh-huh. Well, what takes your time in the day, Mrs. Parker? The Young and the Restless? Uh-huh. And the Game Show Network? Uh-huh. Now, your husband, he works pretty hard, doesn't he? Uh-huh. Good provider? Oh, yeah, well, that's good. Mrs. Parker, you sound like a witch. I wouldn't want to come home to you either. Look at you. I mean, look at you. I mean, not just focusing on your looks, but you don't cook for him. You don't make love to him. I'm surprised, Mrs. Parker, that he comes home at all to you. You've got to change your ways. I mean, I'm nice to my wife. I really am. In fact, I wonder why I'm so nice, because I think I'm too nice to her at times, But that's just the way that I am, Mrs. Parker. I'm a nice guy. And it's not rocket science. Look at this. So, Mrs. Parker, pull your thumb out of your butt and greet your husband, do your hair up, put some makeup on, you know, try to hide those wrinkles. Wash your damn hair more than once a month, you know. Put some perfume on to cover up those smells you have. And make some dinners, you know. Even if you have to go to the store and buy some dinners that are pre-made, you know, and just pretend that you made it, then give your husband something besides TV dinners. What is wrong with you? Well, I hope this helps, Mrs. Parker. I hope this helps. Quit being, you know, the type of person that you are. And try to be the type of person, Mrs. Parker, that he'd want to come home to. You know, like Samantha in Bewitched. Now, she's a real woman. Hope that helps, Mrs. Parker. All the best to you. Ah, man. The people I talk to are just plain morons. How about some Gatorade, huh? Man, that hits the spot, huh? Why does it hit the spot? Because I've been out jogging, baby. I, you know, jogged 5 miles today. You know, I went to an antique store the other day, or an antique show, and I was out jogging before that and was all sweaty. And I knew I probably smelled because I was been sweating, you know, my whole body was sweating. And I went to an antique store, and there was a woman, older woman, and a young gal that was probably about, I don't know, 29. And they were following me around the show, and you know, the booth that I went to, they would go to. And finally, the older woman, she said, well, she wasn't too old. She was about, you know, 45 and. Well, maybe, about 45, 50, and I guess she was with her daughter. And her daughter was a knockout. You know, the mother wasn't bad either. But anyway, she says, what are you wearing? She says, my daughter and I have been following you all over the show because you smell so good. And I said, oh, it's just something I put on. You know, she says, man, whatever it is, it's unbelievable. We've been following you all over, you know, the show here for about 20 minutes just to smell it. And so I thanked her, you know, for the kind words. But my point is, my sweat turns a lot of women on. Turns some guys on, too, you know. Turns me on. I could not shower or bathe for a month. And the aroma, you know, it drives women crazy. You know, of course I have to wash my hair and different things, but, you know, if I could harness somehow my smell, my sweat, and sell it, you know, to men, that they could splash it on, you know, their women would drive him crazy with desire. I mean, look at this. Get a grip. Unbelievable.